What's up, y'all? eBay predictions in the building. I'm here to talk about the Robert Whittaker, Darren Till card. We got some good fights on here, man. We got Nicholas Dalby coming back. We got Beth Cochea coming back. Nathaniel Woods. I think Justin Tafa is going to be fighting on this card. We got a lot of good people. But who else? Fernando Trinaldo's on this card, man. For the prelims, obviously, I'm talking about prelim fighters to check out, but you already know we're here to talk about that main card. Marina Rodriguez versus Carla Esparza. Man, Carla Esparza is a freaking savage for taking this fight against Marina, man. This is such a hard fight for Carla. Marina is such a technical striker. She's very, very ruthless, pure Muay Thai, but Carla has a wrestling advantage, and I think Carla's gonna take it in the wrestling. So I'm gonna go Carla Esparza. And how the greats have fallen, bro. Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Gustafsson. These guys should be co-main event. What are we doing here, UFC? You got these fools messed up. But this is an interesting fight, guys, man. Um, man, both guys are coming off losses that I didn't think they were gonna, lose. Man, I didn't think Alexander Gustafsson will find himself in a position to lose to a guy like Anthony Smith, and nor did I think that Fabricio Werdum was gonna lose to Alexei Oleinik. Man, nothing wrong with Alexei Oleinik or Anthony Smith. I think they're good fighters, but I thought Alexander Gustafsson and Werdum's skill set was just at a different level, from them. But apparently they weren't. But if we look back at those losses, let's talk about Alexander Gustafsson's loss to Smith. It was a close fight up to the third round. Gus caught Smith with a really good body kick and hurt him, but I don't think he noticed it. And then he took him down with ease, and the round ended. And then I guess he was like, well, I'm gonna get some takedowns in, and he made a mistake. He went for a hip toss and ended up giving his back to Smith, and Smith took advantage. Was very opportunistic, and took his back and choked him out. And and he ended up losing that fight, and he ended up retiring. And I didn't know if he was gonna be really gone, but it was just one of those losses, man. It's gonna be a hard climb for him at light heavyweight. So I just didn't think, what else does he have at light heavyweight? It made sense that he retired, you know. But now he's coming back. He's gonna fight at heavyweight. He's looking for some redemption. He wants a belt. At light heavyweight, he fought for the belt 3 times, man. Those first 2 times were very close. His Daniel Cormier fight I think, is very underrated. Great fucking fight. That was a close fight. He even dropped Daniel Cormier. His fight against John Jones, the first one, was very, very close. Did really good in that fight. But he's had some pretty low lows. His loss to Rumble. His loss to John Jones the second time was pretty hard to watch. Um, but it is what it is. Werdum. His loss to Oleinik, that one was. I don't know, man. That one was a hard one to watch. But in retrospect, when you think about it, it makes sense. Um, he had 2 years off. Since the Volkov loss, and it didn't look like he wasn't on Oleinik's level, man. When they were on the ground, you could see like, oh man, Werdum is good, but when they were striking, it looked like he was overwhelmed with Oleinik's pressure and his hooks in the clinch, and he just looked like there was an acceptance of just taking the punishment. It didn't look like nothing really hurt him. He just accepted taking that punishment and not fighting back. He just choked under the pressure, and I think that's kind of like the best way to say it, man. And I just felt like in that situation, you know, he should have done a lot better. But in the later rounds, I thought he did pretty decent. He got some takedowns in. You know, he advanced guard. He made half guard. Then he got full mount, and then he was able to get an arm bar. He had some good attempts, but it was a split decision. And like I know some people thought Werdum won that fight, but it was just, in my opinion, it was just way too close. It shouldn't have been that close between those two guys. There's nothing wrong with Olynyk, but talk about skill set, and you talk about heavyweight title history, man. Werdum is up there with some of the best, man. Has wins over Fedor and Cain Velasquez. At that time were considered the greatest of all time. So I think Werdum's he should be in talks as one of the greatest heavyweights. Like his performance against Travis Brown was sensational, man. What he did to Cain Velasquez, in Mexico City, just outworking him, man. And he went on a little bit of a run right after he lost his Stipe. He beat Walt Harris, and then he beat Travis Brown again. He ended up with a hurdle against Alistair Overeem, but a lot of people thought he won that fight. And then he fought Alexander Volkov, man, the best of the best. Can you blame him, man? But I'm not gonna be talking about Volkov right now, since he lost to Curtis. But it is what it is. But back to this fight, man. The way I see Werdum really winning this fight is he can strike, man. I'm not saying he can't strike. He does a really good. He had a really great knockout even over Mark Hunt, man. He faked a lot of takedowns, and then caught him with that knee, man. And that shit was beautiful. But I think for Werdum to really win this fight is, he's gonna have to use his grappling a lot in this fight. Obviously, Alexander Gustafsson has really good takedown defense. We've seen it in the first John Jones fight. We even seen it in his fight against DC. Man, DC only got that one big, takedown, but he wasn't able to take him down. And then Gus took him down twice in that fight. But it is what it is with those two. But back to Werdum, I feel like Werdum, where he can be successful is he might not have the best wrestling, but if he reshoots to the single, because he has a usually you see him go for a lot of single legs. I never really see him have a good double leg. I think his single leg is really, really good. And just reshoot at that single, I think he can find success. If you look at the second John Jones fight, John wasn't really able to take him down. He went for some attempts in the second and the first, but he really wasn't able to get him down. In the third, he went for a takedown, and Gus denied it, but he had to reshoot and was able to get his back. Well, he was able to get him on the ground and then get top pressure and then have him turn over and then just smash him on the back of his head. So, I think Werdum can win that way. It's just, believing in his single legs and reshooting and, getting that top pressure and maybe submitting Gus. But Gus, all he has to do is really, I think, circle that octagon, apply a jab, fight how he normally fights, and just stop a lot of those takedowns and just outwork him and put a pace on Werdum, man. The guy doesn't necessarily have like a knockout power, but man, he is a fucking sensational fighter, man. His fucking performance against Glover Teixeira, man, was, oh my god. And now you see what Glover's doing. Oh man, Glover's on a 4-fight win streak at the light heavyweight division, man. Destroyed Anthony Smith. Made Anthony Smith look like a nobody, man. But and then you see what Gus did to him. Man, that and Glover has really good boxing, man. And that's like that's how there's levels to certain martial arts, and and Gus's boxing is on another level. So let's see if he comes on and does what he got to do. I think he can win this fight. So I'm gonna be going Alexander Gustafsson in this fight. I think Alexander Gustafsson's gonna get it done. But next fight, man, we got Alex Oliveira versus Peter Sobotta. Peter Sobotta's last fight was, interesting enough, Leon Edwards, 3rd round submission. So, that's going to be interesting to see how he comes back from that. Alex Oliveira's last fight was Max Griffin. It was a W. Very hard fight, man. Really hard fight. It was a war. They were going back and forth. But I will give Alex Oliveira some credit. Man, he showed me something that I haven't seen in him in a long time, man. Usually when fights go one apiece between two fighters, you kind of see him quit, You look at his Yancy Medeiros fight, man. That was a very close fight, and all he had to do was win that 3rd round, and he just got tired, man, and he just couldn't do anything but collapse. You look at his Nicholas Dalby fight, same thing, 2 apiece going in the 3rd round. and all he had to do was win that third round. He couldn't do it. Even his fight against Mike Perry, he couldn't do it. But man, the guy, he has fast twitch muscles, and he can knock you out. Man, he was on a solid two fight knockout streak, very quick in the first round before he lost to Gunnar Nelson, and he was a top 15 guy at the welterweight division, man. So he was a serious guy for not too long ago. So I don't think nobody should doubt him, and I'm gonna be going Alex Oliveira in that fight, and I think he should get it done in spectacular fashion. But next fight, man, two legends in the game, man. Shogun versus Antonio Nogueira, man. The trilogy, the third fight. I think Nogueira's coming off a loss to Ryan Spahn, right? And Shogun is coming off a draw to, I think, Paul Craig. Um, two legends, man. Two pride legends. You know, guys have accomplished a lot in the game, and nothing but respect to them. But I don't think this should be in the co-main event. After Shogun's last performance, man. He has some interesting, like, he had a crazy fight against Tyson Pedro, but I don't know, man. He looked really dumbfounded against Paul Craig, man. I was just so shocked. Like, he should have won that fight, man. He should have just told Paul Craig to get the fuck up, instead of just kicking his legs 24/7 when Craig was pulling guard, and it just is what it is with that fight, and I was just really disappointed in Shogun, and Antonio's coming off that loss to fucking Ryan Spahn, and he didn't do too bad, but I don't think Ryan Spahn is that good. Nothing against the cat, but he almost lost to Sam Alvey, man. That is the truth, but he does have some good wins over Devin Clark, so I'll give him credit for that, but we're not here to talk about Ryan Spahn. We're here to talk about these two legends. I'm just gonna go Shogun, man. Usually, if the guy beats you the first time and Shogun's beaten him twice now, I think Shogun should get the third one. I think he should win this, and he should be successful in this fight. But yeah, next fight, main event: Robert Whittaker versus Darren Tillman. This is such an interesting fight, guys. This is a hard fight for me to choose, honestly. Robert Whittaker's coming off a loss to Israel Adesanya. Darren Till's coming off a win over Kelvin Gastelum, and usually you look at that, and it's a knockout loss to Israel Adesanya, by the way. But when you look at stuff like that, you're like, oh, well, you'd probably go with the guy that's coming off the win, the decision win. But, Robert Whittaker, man, I know a lot of people are kind of are kind of over him and think his chin is gone. But the guy can knock a fool out, though. He still has that ability, man. And, if you look back at Robert Whittaker's, history as an athlete, man, he started off as a wrestler, in the game. And he's so good at wrestling, he even fucking qualified for the Australian Olympic team. He's that good. But it's just, it's one of those things is that for Robert, he loves his striking, and I really believed in the Israel Adesanya fight. He might implement some wrestling, and he just didn't, man. And I should have known better. You look at his Wonder Boy fight, you look at the second Yoel Romero fight. That's not how he fights, man. It's MMA, and he fights the way he fights. He's a very entertaining fighter, but I think the lack of urgency to understand that there's certain disadvantages you have in the sport, and there's certain advantages you have in the sport, and he's not willing to do that, man. But if he fights a grappler, though, like a Jacare or like a Yoel Romero that wants to use the wrestling, or even, let's say, for instance, Jack Hermanson, I think he'd put a beating on those guys, man. His takedown defense is spectacular. Look at that first Yoel Romero fight. When in the third and fourth and fifth rounds, Yoel Romero is going for takedown after takedown. People say Yoel Romero doesn't use his wrestling. That was one of the fights he tried to use his wrestling the most, and it ended up hurting him, right? And Robert looked so sensational in that fight, man. He looked great. But then you look at the rematch. Yoel didn't really use a lot of wrestling. He kind of believed in his hands, and he knocked his ass down like twice. So, you see what I'm talking about, the disadvantages and advantages you have as a fighter. Like, Robert's a great offensive striker, but I think defensively he has some holes. And you know, obviously Darren Till can, seek some criticism. It depends on what kind of Darren Till we see. Is it the Darren Till that's going to be very offensive, that uses a lot of pressure, but has his hands really low? Now, that Darren Till has had some success, He beat Donald Cerrone, starched him, took him out quick. But you seen it when he fought Tyron Woodley. He kind of tried to, put pressure on Tyron Woodley. He got caught with that beautiful right counter. And then when he did it against Jorge Masvidal, he had some success in the first round. But Jorge started to figure him out that when he's going forward, and you only have a 1-2. It's like it's gonna be easy to counter, and then Jorge does that stance switch, throws that combination and just comes with a beautiful fury and knocks him out. And he got him. But when he fights like he did against Wonderboy and Kelvin Gastelum, he fights in the outside, uses some of his leg kicks. You can see, man, he has a diversity in his striking, man. He's really, really good, man. He's a great, sensational Muay Thai fighter, And I think that guy can beat Robert Whittaker in the decision. And I think if he can beat him in the decision, that's, to me, is like a more of a statement instead of knocking him out, because everyone thinks his chin is gone. So I'm gonna just assume that guy comes out, because he has to know, just playing around like he did before, trying to go forward, trying to be a little reckless with those guys like Jorge and Woodley, didn't end up too well. So I'm gonna assume he's gonna respect Robert and fight in the outside, and I think that's how he's gonna beat Robert. I think he's a better striker, man. He has more experience. He started off doing Muay Thai. Robert started off as a wrestler, man. You gotta understand. I understand it's MMA, but if Robert's not gonna go for no takedowns, then it's like, what's the difference? Obviously, yeah, the cage, the distance, this and that. It's not a ring, but I think Darren Till's striking it's gonna be a little more sharp. And I think he's gonna be a little better than Robert, and I think he's gonna take this one. Honestly, gonna go with that. But that's it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go like, comment, subscribe, and eBay Predictions is out.